Good day everyone, especially to our instructor, Dr. Almaty Bubuli. We are the Group 6 and I am Maria Ruth Pinatinga, the first focal person of this report. And in this video, we will tackle about the topic, what affects the organizational health, more on employee on being silenced, and the second one is what do you think needs to happen at your organization to implement servant leadership, and the last one is what is the difference between governance and management. So before we dive into all of this topic, let's first know what will be the objective of this video presentation. So at the end of the discussion, the student may know and recognize the impacts of being silenced in an organizational health. Second is students may also aware of implementing the servant leadership if this will occur in a work settings. The last is the student may identify the difference between governance and management. So now, let's get started for our new first topic, which is the effects and the organizational health, more employee silence or being silenced. Now, I will start with this. Organizational silence and why employee don't speak up. Now, employee play a major role in the success of their workplace. And their workplace and their behaviors and perspective can have critical effects on the facts of an organization. So, how will we define organizational silence? So, here's the definition of that. Organizational silence is a phenomenon that occurs in organization when employees forcefully withhold information and opinions about the organization. So through the use of silence, organizational members are able to withhold the information which could be critical to the growth and progress of the company or the organization. So there are numerous effects that takes place when organizational silence occurs, namely, and it includes effects on organizational success and on the employees themselves. And since I've already stated what is the organizational silence all about, I will give further elaboration about this question. So, information flow within an organization is one of the most critical factors to its success. But widespread withholding of information is a common occurrence. Employees, being the backbone of any organizations, are likely to form their own ideas and gathered information about the underlying working of their organization. Therefore, organizational silence can be considered an occasion in which one or more employees have seemingly valuable information, opinions, concerns, or ideas and choose to withhold this information. According to Van Dang, Ang, and Botero, there are three distinguishable employee motives for silence, and these are the acquiescent silence, the defensive silence, and the pre-social silence. Acquiescent silence can be bought of as silence motivated by a lack of interest or preferences for passiveness. An employee engaging in acquiescent silence likely cares more about conforming to organizational norms or standards, while the defensive silence, it describes the occurrences in which employees deliberately withhold the information due to fear of the consequences of speaking up. Unlike acquiescent silence, defensive silence is more intentional and proactive because the employee understand and consider the alternative of silence and choose to remain silent as a method of protecting themselves from potential negative outcomes. The last is the pro-social silence. Finally, employees engage in pro-social silence with the intention of making a larger positive benefits for the lives or situations of others, or the organizational pro-social silence encourage the well-being of the group and is motivated concern for others rather than concern for oneself only. Move forward. So I have here an example for the causes of organizational silence. Some of the employees may be less likely to voice their opinions and concerns due to a large difference in personal and organizational values, as well as a heightened perceived need to fit in and conform to organizational standards. An example of a minority maintaining a facade of conformity would be an example of defensive silence. And here's the two causes at the management level for organizational silence. The first one is the manager's fear of negative feedback. Why is this one? So they will often try to avoid hearing it altogether as it can elicit feelings of embarrassment, threat, vulnerability, or incompetence, such as ignoring, dismissing, or attaching negative feedbacks creates environments in which negative feedback and upward communication are discouraged. The second one is the manager's implicit belief about employees and about management are also a factor in creation of organizational silence. More specifically, there is a belief commonly held by managers that employees are self-interest and untrustworthy. And these beliefs will lead to managers acting in which way effectively discourage upward communication within organization. And these beliefs may not be conscious but still rope negative outcome in the communication culture within an organization. And now I'm done discussing about the causes, and let's move forward to the effects of organizational silence. The first one is the feeling of guilt and the responsibility, the lost potential, and other psychological aspect factor into the stress which an employee might feel where something sour. Maintaining silence. Maintaining silence or being silent can lead to employees not feeling as though they are valued within their organization. Employees can also develop a perceived lack of control with their work situation, which can have much broader consequences such as withdrawal, dissatisfaction, low motivation, or even deviance. Cognitive dissonance or feeling of disconnect between what one believes and how one behavior can occur in employees who do not feel that they are upholding their own personal values in their work. Organizational silence can work as both the problem and the consequences. So number one is it decreased efficiency of an organization communication system can lead to monetary loss, and the decreased production, decreased quality of work, and poor functioning of the organization as a whole. The second one is the organizational silence can foster feeling of extreme indifference in employees, which will overall affect the productivity and the communication system within an organization. Professional silence can be very harmful to organizations and their employees, and therefore should be avoidable and dismantled wherever possible. And those are all the coverage of this first topic. And now I will give to Miss Hines for the further information about the next topic.
Okay, good afternoon, Mom, Elma Boboli, and my classmates. I report the topic about what do you think needs to happen of your organizations to implement servant leadership. When it comes to leadership, there are several different management styles that you can use in the workplace. Then, servant leadership is a management style that you can help you build strong team with members who are satisfied both personally and professionally, and who contribute high quality work that helps your company's success. How can servant leadership be implemented in organization? Follow these steps to help you develop the skills need to be a servant leader. First is lead by example. Servant leader should always be someone who lead their team by example. Second, show people why their job is important. When employees feel that what they do is important to the overall success of the organizations, they usually feel more empowered and are willing to work harder to help the company's success. Third is encourage collaboration and employee engagement. Yes, servant leaders are also great at making their team feel their voices and and matter. Opinions matter. Next is help your team grow and develop. Servant leaders don't only focus on being great leaders themselves. They are also interested in helping their team members become great leaders. And the fifth is care for your team members personally. Another thing you can do to become a servant leader is to show your team members you care about them on a personal level. And the last is ask for feedback. Finally, leaders should always be looking for how they can improve their own leadership and contribute to their team. And okay, there are five characteristics in servant leadership. First is motivates their team. Creating a work environment where employees feel empowered to contribute and are motivated to be engaged and are critical to being an effective servant leader. Second is has excellent communication. Transparency, active listening, and empathy are all important factors to servant leadership. And the third is care about their team on a personal level. Servant leaders have the ability to see their team members as more than employees and understand that when their team feels happy and fulfilled in their personal lives, and it contributes to their success in their professional life. And the fourth is committed to help their team develop professionally. Servant leaders are great at helping their team members also become a leader. And the fifth is encourage collaboration and engagement. Servant leaders value the opinions of everyone on their team and Encourage them to share those opinions and to actively contribute to the team regularly. And the last is, what is the importance of the servant leadership? Okay, the servant leader feels responsible for helping people learn and grow, feels purposely motivated, energized, and contribute their highest level. It is not about you, it is about your people. Servant leadership is about inspiring people to do noble work that calls forth the very best they have to offer. And thank you.
Okay, good morning everyone. Let me tackle about what is the difference between governance and management. Governance is the strategic task of setting the organization's goals, directions, limitations, and accountability frameworks. Management is the allocations of resources and overseeing the day-to-day operations of the organizations. Governance is the act of governing or ruling. It is the set of rules and laws framed by the governments that are to be implemented through representatives of the state. Simply, but governance is what governments do. Government is a group of people who rule the administrations of a country. Have a good day. Thank you.